It was astonishing when Anita Moorjani, a woman who had spent years fighting terminal cancer, revealed the extraordinary experiences she had during her near-death journey. After falling into a coma, her encounter with an otherworldly realm reshaped everything she knew about life and death. Her story, shared in her best-selling book, captivated the public, challenging the conventional views on healing and the power of the human spirit. In 2006, Anita Moorjani found herself in the battle of her life, diagnosed with terminal cancer that had spread throughout her body. Doctors had given her mere days to live, and she was quickly slipping away. She was confined to her bed in a coma, unable to communicate as her family and doctors watched her deteriorate. The physical pain was unbearable, and the emotional burden of knowing there was no hope for survival weighed heavily on her. But what happened next would alter the course of her existence forever. Anita's body, though fading away in the physical world, was about to transcend the boundaries of the life she knew. As she drifted in and out of consciousness, something extraordinary happened, a vivid, powerful experience that would shape her entire view of life, death, and healing. In her near-death experience, Anita found herself rising above her physical body, feeling detached from the suffering that had once held her in its grasp. It was as if she was no longer confined by the limitations of the human form. Instead, she was fully aware of herself as a consciousness, separate from her physical body. The experience was not just a fleeting moment. It was a profound journey that would unfold before her. She described the sensation of floating effortlessly in a vast, limitless space. There was no more pain, no more fear, just an overwhelming sense of peace and clarity. It was as if she had stepped out of time and space into an infinite realm where everything made sense. Anita felt a deep connection to the universe, to the energy that flows through all living things. It was a feeling of oneness, as if the walls of separation between herself and everything around her had dissolved. In this state, she was able to review her life. But it wasn't like a simple flashback of memories. Instead, Anita had the opportunity to see her life from an entirely different perspective, a higher vantage point. She realized that the challenges and suffering she had experienced in her life were not random or without meaning. In fact, they were part of a much greater plan, a plan she had not fully understood while living in the physical world. What stood out the most in this experience was the realization that life on Earth was not about the superficial goals and achievements she had once chased. She began to understand that the true purpose of her life was far deeper and more meaningful. The constant striving for approval, success, and external validation had led her to live a life that was not authentic to her true self. In this higher realm, Anita realized that the key to living a fulfilling life was to embrace love for herself, for others, and for the universe. It was during this profound shift in consciousness that Anita came to understand the true nature of her illness. Her cancer, which had been the focal point of her life for years, was not just a physical ailment. It was also a manifestation of deep-seated fears and emotional wounds she had been carrying for much of her life. She had always believed that in order to be loved and accepted, she had to live according to the expectations of others. This fear-driven existence had created a disconnection from her authentic self, and ultimately, it had led to her physical suffering. In that moment, as she floated in the vast space of love and peace, Anita understood that the key to healing was to release these fears and allow herself to be fully present and authentic. She realized that healing was not just about physical recovery. It was about a spiritual awakening, a return to the true self, and an embrace of unconditional love. This revelation was more than a mere insight. It was a deep knowing, an understanding that transcended any intellectual explanation. When Anita eventually returned to her physical body, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the gift of life. The shift in consciousness she had experienced was not just a momentary awakening. It was a permanent change in how she viewed the world and herself. She no longer saw herself as a victim of circumstances or illness, but as a powerful being capable of healing and transformation. Her journey from the depths of terminal illness to a profound shift in consciousness marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Anita's NDE not only changed her understanding of what it means to live, but it also provided her with a new outlook on death itself. She now saw death not as an end, but as a transition, a return to the source of all love and energy. Anita's experience was a turning point in her life. It awakened her to the realization that life is not something to fear or fight against, but rather to embrace with open arms. And with this newfound understanding, she would go on to inspire millions, sharing her story of healing, transformation, and the power of love and authenticity. As Anita Moorjani continued her journey during her near-death experience, she was enveloped in a state of profound peace. The physical pain that had plagued her body for years, as well as the mental and emotional suffering from her battle with cancer, completely disappeared. It was as if she had left her earthly body behind, transcending it entirely to enter a new realm. Here there was no fear, no pain, no suffering. What replaced it was an overwhelming sense of unconditional love, a love that surrounded her, filled her, and was so vast that it seemed to permeate every corner of the universe. In this realm there was no distinction between Anita and the love she felt. It was all-encompassing and pure, a feeling unlike anything she had experienced before. It was not a fleeting sense of love, but a deep, eternal connection to the very fabric of existence. Every part of her being was bathed in this energy, which was as calming as it was illuminating. She felt at one with everything, every being, every particle, every star, like she was a part of a cosmic whole that was both beyond her comprehension and yet intimately familiar. The light that radiated in this space was not just an ordinary light. It was a soft, radiant glow that Anita described as both comforting and awe-inspiring. It was not blinding, but rather warm and inviting, a light that made her feel completely safe and embraced. She felt no need to understand where she was, nor did she feel any desire to question the reality of this experience. It was simply an overwhelming knowing that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Anita recalls that she felt as though time had no meaning in this realm. There was no past, no future, just an eternal present. It was a timeless space where the concepts of fear, struggle, and suffering did not exist. She described the experience as something beyond words, a sensation that defied human understanding, but felt undeniably true. In this space of peace and love, Anita also felt a profound sense of interconnectedness. She was no longer an isolated individual, but a part of something much greater. Every living being, every plant, every animal, and every atom in the universe was connected in this vast network of love and energy. There was no hierarchy, no judgment, only a sense of unity and balance. This feeling of oneness was so powerful that it obliterated any feelings of separation or individuality. It was as if all barriers had dissolved, leaving behind only the pure essence of being. The overwhelming peace that Anita experienced during this part of her journey was unlike any sense of peace she had ever known on Earth. It wasn't the peace that comes from the absence of conflict or problems. It was the peace that comes from deep within, an inner tranquility that surpasses any external circumstances. This peace was all-encompassing and eternal, a state that Anita came to realize was the true nature of existence. In this realm, she also felt a sense of divine presence, a presence that was neither malevolent nor distant, but one of perfect love and compassion. This divine presence communicated with her not through words but through feelings, understanding, and a profound sense of knowing. She felt no need to question the nature of this force, as it was self-evident in its beauty and grace. There was no fear in the presence of this divine energy, only a deep sense of trust and reassurance. Anita knew, without a doubt, that this was the source of all life, all love, and all understanding. The experience of being immersed in this realm of love and peace had a transformative effect on Anita. She realized that the love she felt here was not a temporary or conditional love, but an eternal love, one that existed beyond the boundaries of life and death. She understood that this love was always available to her, even in the hardest moments of her life, and that it was the essence of who she truly was. This realization filled her with a sense of purpose and clarity. It was no longer about surviving or battling illness. It was about embracing the truth of her being and allowing that love to guide her through every aspect of life. When Anita returned to her physical body, she carried with her the memory of this incredible experience. The sense of peace and love remained within her, transforming the way she viewed herself, her life, and her relationships. The lessons she had learned in the realm of love and peace became the foundation for her healing process and spiritual journey, one that she would continue to share with others as she spread the message of love, connection, and the eternal nature of the soul. As Anita Moorjani's journey deepened, she encountered several figures she recognized from her life, deceased loved ones who had passed away before her. These spirits were not distant or shrouded in mystery, but familiar, comforting, and filled with love. She saw them clearly as if they were standing right before her. Her father, who had passed away many years earlier, was there, as well as other family members and friends who had long since departed this earthly realm. Their presence was not only a source of immense comfort, but also an affirmation of the connectedness that transcends the boundaries of life and death. What struck Anita most profoundly was that these loved ones were not simply shadows or distant memories, but vibrant, full beings radiating warmth and compassion. They were not just figures she recognized from the past, but spirits who embodied pure love and understanding. She felt their presence deeply, and it filled her with a profound sense of peace. It was not just about seeing them, it was about feeling them, feeling their energy, their love, and their support. In this sacred space, there was no sadness, no grief, just a deep, mutual recognition that they were united in this spiritual realm. Alongside her deceased loved ones, Anita also encountered other spiritual beings. These beings were not human, but seemed to be made of light and energy, radiating an undeniable wisdom and serenity. They did not speak in words, but their communication was deeply felt. Through their presence, Anita understood that they were guides, there to help her navigate this experience and to convey important messages about the nature of life, death, and the universe. The feeling she had while in their presence was one of absolute safety and unconditional acceptance. There was no judgment, no fear, only understanding and a gentle guiding force that reassured her that everything was as it should be. The beings Anita encountered didn't give her a clear verbal message or instruction, but she understood intuitively that her purpose in life was to live authentically, to embrace her true self, without fear, guilt, or the burdens of others' expectations. This message was simple but profound. Life was not meant to be spent in fear or self-doubt. It was meant to be lived fully, in alignment with one's own soul and purpose. The beings and her loved ones conveyed that her illness was not a punishment or something to fear, but rather a part of her soul's journey, a lesson that would lead her to greater understanding and spiritual growth. Anita's encounter with her father was particularly moving. She felt an immense sense of love and gratitude toward him, knowing that his presence there, in this other realm, was not a fleeting moment, but a part of a much larger cosmic picture. The connection between them transcended time and space. She was able to express her gratitude for the love and support he had given her in life, and in return, she felt his love enveloping her, more deeply and purely than she had ever felt before. In this space, there was no need for spoken language. The communication was telepathic, pure, and immediate. Anita understood everything in that moment. She didn't need to ask questions or seek explanations because the answers were already within her. She knew that the love she was experiencing was not bound by earthly conditions. It was eternal, all-encompassing, and unchanging. She realized that death was not an end, but a continuation of the soul's journey, one that was filled with love, wisdom, and understanding. She also understood that her time in this spiritual realm was not a random occurrence, but part of a divine plan. The love she felt from her family and the spiritual beings she encountered reassured her that her purpose on earth was to live fearlessly, to be true to herself, and to share the wisdom she had gained with others. It was as though everything in her life had led to this moment of profound understanding, and now she was being asked to return with a new sense of clarity and peace. When Anita returned to her physical body, she carried with her the deep understanding that the love she had felt from her deceased loved ones and the spiritual beings was not limited to that moment. It was a love that would continue to surround her, guiding her throughout her life. She no longer feared death or illness, as she knew now that there was no separation between the physical and spiritual realms. She had been shown that the bonds of love were unbreakable and eternal, and that every soul is connected in a divine and profound way. As Anita continued her journey in the afterlife realm, she began to gain deep insights into the nature of fear. One of the most significant revelations she experienced was the realization that fear, in all its forms, played a central role in human suffering. During her NDE, she was able to observe the way fear had governed much of her life, shaping her decisions, her relationships, and her health. In the higher state of awareness she was now in, she could see fear for what it truly was, a distortion of the truth, something that prevented people from living their lives authentically and fully. She understood that fear was a learned response, one that had been ingrained in her through societal expectations, personal insecurities, and cultural conditioning. It was fear that had caused her to live a life of limitations, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. This fear had not only clouded her joy and peace, but had also contributed to her physical illness. The cancer she had suffered from was not just a physical disease, but a manifestation of the fear and stress she had held on to for years. It became clear to her that, by holding on to these fears, she had been preventing herself from healing. The spiritual beings around her, as well as her deceased loved ones, shared with her the importance of overcoming fear. They revealed that fear is not an inherent part of the human experience, but rather a choice. While it is natural to feel fear in certain situations, it is the mind's attachment to that fear that causes suffering. The more she became aware of how fear had controlled her life, the more she realized that it was only by letting go of this fear that she could embrace true healing and growth. This understanding was transformative for Anita. She realized that in the afterlife realm, there was no fear, only love, peace, and a sense of infinite possibility. The beings she encountered showed her that, on the other side, there is no judgment or punishment, only unconditional acceptance and understanding. This was a profound revelation that completely shifted her perspective on life. Fear no longer had a hold on her. It had become clear that the only thing preventing her from fully experiencing life was her own fear of the unknown. The message she received was clear: to live authentically and fearlessly was the key to finding true peace and fulfillment. She learned that by releasing her fear, she could fully embrace the beauty of life, the love of those around her, and her own inner power. This understanding would stay with her for the rest of her life, shaping her choices and her approach to every aspect of her existence. When Anita awoke from her coma, she was stunned to find that the cancer that had once ravaged her body had miraculously disappeared. Her doctors were equally astonished, unable to explain the sudden and complete healing that had taken place. Anita knew, however, that the healing she had experienced was not just physical. It was deeply spiritual. Her encounter with the other side had transformed her, shifting her understanding of life, health, and healing in ways that were beyond her previous comprehension. In the months following her return to life, Anita experienced a profound shift in how she viewed health. She realized that true healing did not come from medicine alone, but from the mind, spirit, and soul. The understanding she had gained during her NDE was that the body was simply a vessel through which the soul experiences life. Healing, she discovered, comes from aligning the body, mind, and spirit. It comes from releasing fear, embracing love, and living authentically. Anita began to share her story with others, encouraging them to let go of their fears and embrace their true selves. She became an advocate for living fearlessly, teaching that self-love, acceptance, and authenticity were the keys to not only spiritual growth, but also physical well-being. Her journey had taught her that the mind-body connection was real and powerful. By healing the mind and spirit, the body could follow suit. Her story spread far and wide, resonating with people all over the world who were suffering from illness, fear, and self-doubt. Anita's miraculous recovery became a symbol of hope and inspiration for anyone facing a difficult diagnosis, a life-threatening situation, or a spiritual crisis. She became a beacon of light, showing others that it was possible to overcome even the most daunting challenges by transforming one's mindset and embracing love and self-compassion. Anita's new understanding of life and healing also helped her let go of past regrets and fears that had once weighed heavily on her. She realized that every experience in her life, even the painful ones, had played a role in her spiritual growth. She no longer felt burdened by the mistakes or the what-ifs that had once haunted her. She had found peace in the understanding that every moment was an opportunity to align with her true purpose and live authentically. Today, Anita continues to spread her message of love, healing, and fearlessness. She teaches that the greatest gift we can give ourselves is to live without fear, embracing each moment as it comes, and trusting that we are always supported by a higher power. Through her own transformation, Anita has become a living testament to the power of the soul's ability to heal, and she encourages others to tap into their own inner wisdom, knowing that by doing so, they too can experience profound healing and spiritual awakening.